The following program is paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Fresno on 105.9 the FM KMJ. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert, Craig Barton.
Good morning, Central Valley. I'm your host, Craig Barton, and welcome to the Real Estate Radio Network, the most important hour of radio each week here on 105.9 the FM KMJ. Real Estate Radio is a show dedicated to bringing some rational thought to the crazy world that we live in and helping you to rebuild the Central Valley's housing and credit markets. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted advice, and that's exactly what you're going to hear every Sunday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on 105.9 the FM KMJ. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, good morning, kids.
Good morning.
Happy Sunday morning. Thanks for getting up.
You're welcome.
Yeah, don't look at me. I'm a little bit shorter. My chair is challenged
I
this
like
morning.
that you are at eye level this morning.
You like the fact that you're feeling a little superior at the moment, aren't you?
You almost look like you're sitting on your knees over there on that side of the studio.
I'm feeling it, John. You guys said after last week's show, we need to bring Craig down a notch, so we're just going to give him the short chair, not to be confused with the short bus.
Or the short end of the stick.
Or the short end of the stick.
Okay,
all right.
Okay, moving on.
As always, it's so good to have my my co-host, not special. You are special, but my co-host, Michelle Pettis-Cavalli from Valley White Homes in the studio with us today. Michelle is a licensed realtor and a trusted friend.
Really?
Yeah, no, I trust you.
You're right. I did get my license. Yeah, I remember that. This was a few years ago.
We're also really lucky to have Don, that other voice in the studio, Don Scordino, broker associate with Realty Concepts, as well as Don's a celebrity. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, Don is the host of Welcome Home Radio.
You know what? I ran into him. It was Art Hop night, and I was there, and I saw him. You guys were getting ready to tape your show, I think, maybe one night or something.
Good deal.
It was good
times.
Hey,
Don, thanks so much for getting up with us. Didn't mean to.
No, that's all right. Thank you for having me. I'm going to enjoy this.
Awesome. Well, the Real Estate Radio Network gives us collectively the opportunity to reach so many people efficiently for one full hour each and every week. You know, our goal with the Real Estate Radio Network, I'm a little tongue-tied this morning.
You are. What's wrong with you?
I need more coffee.
I think so.
Our goal with the Real Estate Radio Network is to get you, our listeners, the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate market so we can help bring you
back home.
Love it. Well, we're super excited about today's show. We are going to take a look at some of the top stories in the news. Again, there's no shortage of stuff to talk about. Don Scordino, as we mentioned, broker associate with Realty Concepts and Welcome Home Radio here in the studio with us to talk about the last 10 years in our real estate market, give you some statistics and some thoughts about where we might see ourselves over the next 10 years as we're evolving as a market in general. We're also going to take some more listener questions. Make sure that you stay with us. Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the information that you hear on our show, call us anytime. Don, Michelle, myself, we'd love to hear from you. 800-979-3958. You can also check out our resources online, and you can listen to past shows from the Real Estate Radio Network on YouTube by going to our website, reofresnohomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use press 4 keywords.
Friend Valley White on Facebook.
Or use press 4 keywords.
KMJ, call Valley White.
To call us anytime. We'd love to hear from you. Well, you heard us say press 4. Press 4 is for all those times that you're away from your computer. In the event that we've got some information that we want to make sure that we get to you if you're driving in your car and you hear KMJ, call Valley White. All you have to do is first of all, you have to set up the Press 4 application on your smartphone.
Yeah, but then I just have to press it and say,
you
KMJ,
press it,
call Valley White.
Exactly. And that calls us directly.
Direct.
Any time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Pretty good deal. Well, today's hot properties are brought to you by Perfect Home Inspections. Residential, multifamily, commercial. Use press 4 keywords, Perfect Home Inspections, or call Jerry Schooley today for your perfect home inspection. At 352-6941. That's 352-6941. Now, Don, we're going to let you go first, except I'm going to take the honors, and then you can give me the color commentary behind this particular property. Today's first hot property, just so happens, we've got the listing agent in our studio today, the star of Welcome Home Radio, Don Scordino, 54 East Loop in Madera, 93637. This particular home is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,650 square feet on a 9,148 square foot lot. And just ironically enough, we sold the house that was a 32 East Loop right down the street. Don, tell us a little bit about this property and what makes it so special in this particular subdivision.
Well, what makes this one really so special is that, first of all, it's a traditional sale, which means...
What's that? What's that?
We don't know what those are anymore.
It's not bank-related.
There you go.
And therefore, they have kept the property in immaculate and pristine condition. But this home is really special because in place of the 4th bedroom, they have a studio in there, or a cinema, an in-house theater. And in my 36 years in the business, I have never seen such a professional attempt at making or duplicating a theater.
Wow.
I mean, they actually have the red velvet curtains hanging in there.
What a cool deal.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's 3 levels of seating.
Nice.
All that it's missing is the popcorn machine. But I understand for $400 you can get one of those.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. I tell you what, you'd never want to leave the home. Right?
That could be dangerous.
Yeah.
I have to leave my theater? Really?
Well, and if you did leave it, there's the park right outside, so you can be back to another movie quickly.
There you go.
Isn't that great? Now, share a story real quick. You and Michelle were talking before we came into the studio, and you were talking about how just recently, was it last night, you went out and you dropped flyers around the neighborhood, letting everyone know that you're going to have a showing or a preview, something like that coming up?
Right, and it shows you how you're never too old to learn something new. So, that was hard for me to say. It's having to admit that I'm old.
Oh, stop.
But
my gosh.
I've never walked it like that before. I walked for an hour and a half, and I went out and passed out flyers onto everybody's doorstep.
In the neighborhood.
In the neighborhood.
It's a gated community,
It's
you
a
said?
gated community.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's such a nice community that I knew people would want to get their friends and family there.
Absolutely.
So my flyer actually said, pick your neighbor.
Yeah,
there you
Amen.
go. Yeah, invite them over to the showing.
I think that's really interesting, and the reason I found it so interesting was because in today's tech environment that we live in, people are online, people are on Trulia, people are on here, they're there. But for someone to come to your door and actually say, hey, this house down the way, we're going to open it up, and we'd love for you to help us pick your neighbors, it's that physical contact, that conversation that really confirms to me that we're in a business of people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what they find on Trulia or what they find on the MLS. It really comes down to, one, a good agent and who they're working with and getting the word out and building that connection with the neighbors or the listing party or whomever.
I think it's extremely important to also make sure that here's the deal. Your focus can't be so, and granted, when you talk about all the different gadgets and techie stuff that we have access to in our industry, it's so important to make sure that you embrace those simple, walk into the front door, handing out a flyer. Because let me tell you, some of that stuff, tried and true, it doesn't, how, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but how kind of sterile is it receiving an email? And it's, somebody walks up to your front door and actually hands you a doggone flyer. What a concept.
Right.
Yeah.
And
embrace the past.
And today, in this politicking environment, isn't that interesting, too? Just a side note there. Keep moving.
Don was canvassing last night.
Canvassing for his
votes.
house.
I was afraid they were going to think I was a politician.
Yeah, that's what I mean, How many politicians are walking right now?
Exactly. I'd much rather be the realtor
The realtor,
than the politician.
absolutely.
So,
I'm with you.
So, Don, again, the price of this particular property was just reduced to what?
$224,900 for a 2,650 square foot home that's only, about 12 years old, 13 years old, and in beautiful condition, marble floors.
Yeah,
that's under $100 a square foot.
Yeah.
For one that's in pristine condition.
Yeah, note to self. Huh?
Note to self. Under $100. Yeah, I'm doing my calculating right now for my clients.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, if it's a situation that you want more information on this particular hot property, make sure you contact Don Scordino at area code 559-490-1590. Is that the best number to get you at, Don?
That is the best one.
You can run, but you can't hide.
That's right.
Good deal. Well, today's second hot property, 5958 East Via Marilago Drive in Fresno, 93727. Property is actually located located out in Sunnyside, off the major cross streets of Fowler and Church. This 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,663 square foot home built in 2009, Sanger Unified School District. All this for only $163,000. This property was appraised. It is a HUD home, and I believe currently eligible for owner-occupants only, and that appraisal is completely 100% portable. So you can utilize that appraisal for the purpose of securing FHA financing. What are you smirking at?
Portable. I don't know
portable.
very many appraisals that aren't portable.
Hey, I've seen you port around some appraisals before. So
well, no, I mean, you mean it's transferable? Like
exactly.
It doesn't belong to that lender. It can go to any lender.
Yeah, it can be used for the purposes of.
Well, when you say
financing.
Portable, I mean, I don't know.
Hey, I had to come up with some kind of word.
I know. I like it.
Pick a word in the dictionary.
It makes me
Bidding
think.
deadline is daily at 11:59 Central Standard Time. If you'd like more information about today's hot properties, give us a call anytime, 800-979-3958, or use press 4 keywords.
KMJ Hot Property.
And we'll send you more information about these hot properties right to your phone. Look for more hot properties each week, right here on the Real Estate Radio Network. Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the information that Don, Michelle, and myself share with you on our show, please call us anytime, 800-979-3958. We'd so love to hear from you. You can also go to our website. You can search for your next new home, whether it's an owner-occupied, whether it's a second home or an investment property, by going to fresnohomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use press 4 keywords.
Friend Valley White on Facebook.
Or use press 4 keywords.
KMJ, call Valley White.
To call Don, Michelle, or myself anytime. We'd love to hear from you. Well, coming up, we're going to take a look at some of the top stories in the news. Make sure that you stay with us. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network, helping to redefine real estate on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Thinking about buying a home? Find out how the HUD Home Store can help you. Visit HUDHomestore.com. Look at HUD homes available for sale near you or nationwide. Why HUD Home Store? HUD will pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing cost. The price of the home is based on an FHA as-is appraisal, which is already completed, saving you an average of $400. And there is an owner-occupant priority bidding period during the first 30 days. Want to know more? Visit HUDHomestore.com.
Mortgage interest rates are at historic lows, and there's never been a more affordable time to buy real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing property, let the mortgage professionals at Valley White help. Valley White Homes has been helping homeowners with their mortgage needs since 1997. When it comes to the Valley's real estate, we know our way around the neighborhood. Call toll-free, 800-979-3958, and put the seasoned professionals at Valley White Homes to work for you. Valley White Homes, NMLS number 342062, 235-952, California Department of Real Estate License 0122-8460. Have you ever thought about going solar? It's never been easier to go solar than with a SunPower lease. You'll start saving money the very first day. Arise Solar has a team of energy consultants ready to help you determine if going solar is right for you. Start taking control of your energy costs. Contact Arise Solar, your local SunPower Elite dealer, at 449-8989. That's Arise Solar at 449-8989. Or use press 4 keywords, Arise Solar. How much should I be saving? When can I retire? What can I do to ensure that my estate will be left in the hands of my family once I'm gone? Is my hard-earned money safe in today's markets?
With all the uncertainty in today's world, all of us at the Island Group know it is our job to provide answers to these questions. Walk with us, the Island Group at UBS Financial Services. Call me, Kate Island, at 559-248-4097. That's 559-248-4097, and take the first step in protecting your financial future.
All rights reserved. UBS Financial Services, Inc. is a subsidiary of UBS AG. Member SIPC. Come join the fun and show your support for 3-time Valley champion Clovis East High School boys basketball program at the 8th annual Crab Feed Dinner on Saturday, October 20th at 6 p.m. at the Fresno Betsuan Buddhist Temple's Family Dharma Center, located on Alluvial Avenue. All you can eat crab, chicken, and tri-tip. A live and silent auction with dancing starting at 9 p.m. For more information, contact 797-5381. That's 797-5381, or use press 4 keywords Clovis East.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Well, guys, Fresno County, let's talk inventory real quick.
There's inventory?
Yeah, there's inventory.
Where? Because I'm running out. It's been gone a while now.
I checked this morning, and I think there's 7 homes that are active in Fresno County.
I already put offers on those.
You did?
Yeah.
Did you get them?
No, evidently I've been rejected again. There is no inventory.
How are we handling that rejection?
Yeah,
Just out of curiosity.
Me personally?
Not handling
I don't handle rejection well. It's a personal issue. But there are not enough homes out there. So anybody considering putting their house on the market should call one of us immediately, if not sooner, because I'm pretty sure we can move it for you.
I'm pretty sure we can move it fast.
Quickly.
Yeah, exactly. You price it right, and in today's market, Don, you price the property right. You make sure that you have a realistic expectation as far as what to expect, as far as the seller's concerned. And if you're doing your job or letting the market be the muscle, by Saturday we should have 12 offers.
We're being a little, presumptuous, but not always do you have it that quickly.
Yeah.
But generally, yeah, you definitely have visits. Definitely a lot of visitors.
1,269 active listings, single-family active listings. And I use Fresno County. I don't say Fresno, Clovis, but active listings as we check this morning. Most recently, in August, 742 closed transactions in Fresno County. Man, it's just they're flying off the shelf like hotcakes.
Yeah, and with that few listings out there and at a 742 clip, you could see where it'll dry up quick.
Yeah. What's, our biggest concern as far as inventory would be that it would continue to shrink, because if you look at the stats in just Fresno and Clovis, and I was looking at some stats yesterday, inventories are still dropping in Fresno and Clovis. Modest drops. In other words, not huge, but still modest drops. What happens? Inventory levels get down below 1,000. What happens to the market here? Are we back? Are we accomplishing exactly what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac wanted to do in the first place?
Oh, if you want my opinion,
yes, we do.
I don't really believe Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are that on top of it. These are the same guys that came up with those crazy loans.
Oh, gotcha.
And so I don't think I'm not so sure that they're on top of it like that. Plus, they're looking at it from a national perspective, and we're looking at it from a local.
Our ecosystem is not the same as the world, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
right. And while we're at about a 1.5 month supply of inventory, I know there's some areas of the nation that are at 20, 30 months.
Well, it was interesting you say that. We were talking in Atlanta, Georgia. There was 40,000+ active listings in Atlanta, Georgia. With a median sales price of like $139,000 or something like that. And I made the comment last week. Yeah. Can you imagine if you were an REO guy in Atlanta, Georgia?
Yeah.
Man, interesting note though. This week I was sitting through a HUD training here in Fresno. Nancy West, who is the outreach director for the Santa Ana Home Ownership Center down in Santa Ana, was here in Fresno doing a training on Monday and Tuesday of this week. And she made the comment, all of a sudden I lost my train of thought. Yeah, that's great.
About the houses we were talking about.
Oh, I know it. Yeah, sorry.
I'm like, we were talking about
I was
this
sitting there with Sal Hernandez, who works out of our office as well, and he made the comment. He says, look at this. He pulled up a HUD home in Michigan. And the price of the HUD home, I had to take a double take. It was $650.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. Well, but you'll think of, Don, specifically what you were talking about, the abundance of foreclosures in that particular market. Michigan hit just amazing.
Economically unreal.
Ohio.
Right.
Florida. You look at some of those markets, and let me tell you, our little microcosm here, we're extremely blessed that inventory is what it is, because if you are on the selling side, or the listing side, excuse me, they are flying off the shelves. If you're on the buyer side, frustration.
I recently was in a meeting for the California Association of Realtors, and we had somebody there from every region, and they have the state split up into, I believe it's 37 different regions.
Wow.
And the predominant issue that came up was lack of inventory in California. So I think what people are forgetting is that this is still California. People love to live here. We got great weather, a great environment. And so we are a little different than the rest of the nation.
Well, speaking of different, real quick, let's talk about real quickly. Michelle, you and I got into a conversation this week, and I kind of coined this conversation, the redheaded stepchildren of our market. And the reason being is because when you submit an offer, if you're representing a buyer and you submit an offer on a listing, the agents look at you kind of cross-eyed, or they kind of cock their head and, man. And it doesn't necessarily you don't necessarily get the feeling like this is in the buyer's best interest based upon their response. And let's talk about them. CHDAP,
yeah, I got a little pushback from an agent recently who said, well, we didn't know this client was going CHDAP. And I'm thinking, well, I didn't either.
Well,
I'm not the lender on this.
First, let's quantify what CHDAP is. It is a down payment assistance program that helps a buyer. It works with FHA financing, and it's a 3% silent second.
Right.
Doesn't require any monthly payback, which is great.
Right.
It's an approved down payment assistance program in the state of California. What a slick deal.
Right. And then
so why not use that?
Right. What's the difference between that and gift funds? There's no difference really, other than you pay it back when you sell the house. But the agent came back at me and said, well, I'm not sure we would have accepted this had we known it was CHDAP. And I'm thinking, okay, isn't our job as agents to foster home ownership and foster these folks into healthy home ownership?
And why would you push back? So what was his pushback? What was his explanation?
I know what CHDAP turn times can be. I said, well, I do too. They can be 5 days. They can be 20 days.
So you're just impatient.
Yeah.
And they're probably concerned that there's another level of approval there. But don't forget, when you get gift funds from mom and pop, that's a level of approval too.
Exactly.
Oh, most definitely.
I remember bringing my mother into the house I was buying. I finally had to correct her and say, wait a minute, you're a seamstress. I'm a real estate broker, and you're trying to tell me I paid too much?
She was trying to hem your
that's mother's prerogative, though.
She ended up being right, by the way.
We mothers can be that way sometimes.
VA financing, common misperception. VA property is appraised. Don, tell us what you feel or what you see out there as far as VA.
VA is one of the best loans out there, and
it's
more
great.
people should do them. And sellers should not be so concerned with VA being tough. I mean, I think the biggest difference is that the seller has to pay the escrow fee, or the whole thing rather than half.
Right.
Well,
it's a couple $100.
Exactly.
And for what our veterans have done, come on, people.
Thank you. That was my next comment. We just passed the anniversary of 9/11 this week. A day that I don't know how many of you, I can tell you exactly where I was, what I was doing when I was sitting and watching the TV when the first plane had hit Tower 1. And actually they came in and they showed, they replayed it and said this is what had happened. And then also seeing the second plane hit Tower 2. It's just amazing. I think when we say VA, whether it is, why isn't there a loan out there for police officers as well as firefighters? And I don't just mean
there are some programs for them.
I'm talking about
similar to CHDAP,
but why not something similar to VA, a government, kind of a nationally government, or like VA? Let's include those folks in there as well. It boggles my mind because there was also a parade that they had downtown Clovis last weekend for veterans, veterans of Korean War, veterans of Afghanistan and Iraq, and they said, and my wife and I were sitting reading the paper, and the comment was made that it was a modest turnout. And I tell you what, man, we really have to get our priorities straight, and we really have to focus on what is most important, because these people are downright giving their lives to protect our freedom, and it's extremely important that we show our thanks.
Well, I think in these situations with these particular types of home purchases, it's not just that. I think it's a miseducation on the agent's part to not really know what they're being offered.
Taking the time to educate and bridge the disconnect between necessarily the agent as well as anybody involved in the transaction.
203K is another one that we've sometimes they go really well, sometimes they don't go as well. But bottom line, those are to rebuild our neighborhoods. So why aren't we using those more effectively? Why are we succumbing to just investors out there? And not that I'm opposed to working with investors. I love my investor buyers. At the same time, a 203K is going to get a family in that home.
Because it's owner-occupied.
It's about building up our region. And I think it's really important that we not assume the worst just because we're uneducated about something.
And why is it the case that that you see on multiple listing service under the agent remarks.
Mm-hmm. Cash only.
Cash only, as is. Well, what makes you, because again, I see that, and my first question is, why cash only?
Well, I mean, it might be a teardown. I've seen a few of those. But otherwise.
A few of those in this market.
Yeah.
So conventional versus FHA financing. The perception, Don, as far as agents are concerned between which one's more difficult to secure.
Sure, and that's a misconception today because actually today conventional financing is almost the same as FHA.
Yeah.
I mean, that appraiser is going to go out there, and if
in
they
terms
see
of how critical the appraiser is of the collateral.
Right.
Yep.
They're exactly. The guidelines are almost the same. So it's not like the old days that FHA was tougher than conventional.
Right.
Conventional used to never call a broken window. Now they do because it's health and safety.
Right.
And I just had one on conventional, 20% down, and they wanted some grout put into a shower.
Are you kidding?
Right. Just
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because, wow. Just add it to the list.
Exactly. So it's something that had to be done.
You can have mold on the walls, but by God, you better have grout in the tile.
And it was only in one seam.
Oh, I see.
The whole repair probably was 5 minutes long.
Wow.
$5.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Let's also talk about lender-required repairs on short sales. I had a quick story. I had a situation recently, short sale. The appraiser called a countertop that was missing in the kitchen. And I get a phone call from, it was a co-listing agent. I get a phone call from one of the co-listing agents, and he says, I said, hey, how you doing? He says, well, not so good. I said, why is that? I said, well, what can I do to make your day better? And he says, well, I just saw the appraisal, and it called to replace the countertops. I'm like, okay. And how long have you thought that might be an issue if you're securing FHA or VA financing? Well, since the very beginning, but I said, listen, I'm part of the solution, not part of the problem, okay, just so you know. Well, my seller, hasn't, lost her job 18 months. I said, totally understand. I'm not here to bust anybody, to make life harder. I'm here to let you know, here's what the solution is. Said, we've discussed it from the very beginning. My buyer, I pointed it out. That's the only shortcoming that I see as far as the collateral. In other words, the house. If it becomes an issue and the appraiser calls it, you might get an appraiser that might not call it, even though most would. The appraiser calls it. He says, hey, I can go down to Home Depot, and they've got these prefab countertops that I can go and install. And the buyer was super handy. I said, I'm telling you verbally right at the moment, this is what we need to have happen. I'd like the seller's written permission to give us the authority to go into the premises to allow us, so we're not trespassing and doing something we're not supposed to be doing, to give us authorization to replace the countertops. And it was an under $500 fix. Actually, I think it was less than that. It was under a couple $100. But the buyer actually was that handy, went into the property and fixed it. Nothing is, everything's negotiable as far as whether it's a traditional sale, REO, short sale, doesn't matter. Everything is negotiable. And where there's a will, there's a way. As long as everyone's on the same page, and I think you have mentioned this many times before, is there can never be an overabundance of communication with everyone in the transaction. Mm-hmm. There's no such thing. Mm-mm. There really is no such thing. Let's also take a look at real quick. We talked about will the feds, or we've talked about in the past as far as quantitative easing is concerned, and the federal government getting involved in purchasing government-backed securities and helping to keep mortgage rates or bond rates artificially low. And so what do you guys think in terms of the federal government? Do you think it's kind of been mum's the word, but Bernanke said recently at the last meeting of the St. Louis Fed in Wyoming that there's a possibility that they could get in. How much lower can you get short-term rates?
It's close to zero. Yeah. But I loved what you said about artificially low.
Yeah.
And I really believe that right now interest rates are artificially low. So now is the time to take advantage of it. I even believe prices are artificially low right now. So, and of course, people have listened to that advice for a while. That's why we have so much activity.
Right, in our environment.
Right. Mm-hmm. We'll have multiple offers on many listings.
Yeah.
Well, if it comes to pass that the feds do decide to get involved and do another round of quantitative easing, it will be interesting to see exactly what this round will accomplish, because I don't think there's many believers in the market that believe that there is much more that they can do with short-term rates being so low. So we will see, most definitely. Well, again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the information that you hear on our show, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. 800-979-3958. You can also check out our resources online. And when I say resources, that's our website at reofresnohomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use press 4 keywords.
Friend Valley White on Facebook.
Or use press 4 keyword.
KMJ, call Valley White.
To call us. Give us a call. We'd love to hear your questions or comments. Well, coming up, Don Scordino, as we mentioned earlier, broker associate with Realty Concepts and Welcome Home Radio, to talk about the last 10 years in our real estate market and what you might want to expect over the next 10 years. Make sure you stay with us. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network, helping to redefine real estate here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
All it takes is one call to the professionals at Valley White Homes, and you'll start building wealth in real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing investment property, let the experts at Valley White Homes help. There's never been a better time to get into the real estate market. Visit our website at reofresnohomes.com or call toll-free 800-979-3958. That's 800-979-3958. And put the seasoned professionals of Valley White Homes to work for you. Have you ever thought about going solar? It's never been easier to go solar than with a SunPower lease. You'll start saving money the very first day. Arise Solar has a team of energy consultants ready to help you determine if going solar is right for you. Start taking control of your energy costs. Contact Arise Solar, your local SunPower Elite dealer, at 449-8989. That's Arise Solar at 449-8989. Or use press 4 keywords, Arise Solar.
Thinking about buying a home? Find out how the HUD Home Store can help you. Visit HUDHomestore.com. Look at HUD homes available for sale near you or nationwide. Why HUD Home Store? HUD will pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing cost. The price of the home is based on an FHA as-is appraisal, which is already completed, saving you an average of $400. And there is an owner-occupant priority bidding period during the first 30 days. Want to know more? Visit HUDHomestore.com.
How much should I be saving? When can I retire? What can I do to ensure that my estate will be left in the hands of my family once I'm gone? Is my hard-earned money safe in today's markets?
With all the uncertainty in today's world, all of us at the Island Group know it is our job to provide answers to these questions. Walk with us, the Island Group at UBS Financial Services. Call me, Kate Island, at 559-248-4097. That's 559-248-4097, and take the first step in protecting your financial future.
All rights reserved. UBS Financial Services, Inc. is a subsidiary of UBS AG. Member SIPC. Come join the fun and show your support for three-time Valley champion Clovis East High School boys basketball program at the 8th Annual Crab Feed Dinner on Saturday, October 20th at 6 p.m. at the Fresno Betsuan Buddhist Temple's Family Dharma Center, located on Alluvial Avenue. All you can eat crab, chicken, and tri-tip. A live and silent auction with dancing starting at 9 p.m. For more information, contact 797-5381. That's 797-5381, or use press 4 keywords Clovis East.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Well, as we mentioned, we've got Don Scordino, broker associate from Realty Concepts, here in the studio with Michelle and I this morning. And Don's going to help us take a look at the last 10 years as far as our real estate market and what the next 10 years might look like. But before we do that, Don, I want to make sure we give you some props here. You know, number one, Don is a licensed real estate broker. He also is, and I'm going right to the top, you know, you've been doing this for 30 years, Don, but you are the host of Welcome Home Radio every Saturday morning at 9 a.m.
That's right, and I enjoy doing it. Just like, and I can tell you enjoy doing this.
Well, it's all the coffee, and it's getting to hang out with Johnny. Johnny's just...
Let's be honest, it's the only time that he stops.
Yeah.
And sits down.
Yeah. She is very, very right on there. Don was also other things to note about Don and his past. Back in 2008, Don was El Presidente of the Fresno Association of Realtors.
That was one of my favorite years.
Was it really?
I enjoyed that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet you, it's like anything else when you work or you have a show like Welcome Home Radio or being a president of the association, man, you've got to stay connected. You really do. This isn't go home and, crawl under the covers and start drooling out of the corner of your mouth. You've got to go home and start reading stories on the internet and doing research and paying attention to really what is going on in today's market.
Yeah, but what drives me on that is that I want to make a difference.
Sure.
When my time's up, I don't want to say, well, I sold X amount of homes. I want to say I made a difference in people's home ownership.
And also not being a wallflower. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great thing. This is one of the things that a home buyer may only do 3 or 4 times in their lifetime. But ultimately, when it's said and done, that's one of the biggest purchases they will make 3 or 4 times in a lifetime. And to have that impact, how many times have we, you give keys to a consumer and they are just in tears. And it's tears of joy because they're so doggone happy. And, and every set of buyers has a story behind it in terms of what they had to overcome to get there. So, Don, let's talk real quick in terms of where we've been the last 10 years and what kind of direction do you see? Because I tell you what, and actually just so you all know that are listening out there, Don pulled out his Ouija board and his crystal ball. Right, Don?
That's right.
Not. Let's talk about the article he wrote, though.
I do have a crystal ball, though.
Do you?
Oh, yeah. So far, it's been wrong most of the time.
Well, at least it's steady,
Exactly.
consistent.
So is this where we do the disclosure? Past performance is not guaranteed future,
exactly.
future results.
That's the disclosure that we speed through for you now. I want to hear a little more about the article Don wrote that kind of covers the last 10 years and tells us a little more about what we're seeing out there in comparison to the last 10 years.
Well, what got me going on this article is everybody has the question of, did we hit bottom? And some people are saying, well, yeah, we hit bottom in 2008. Others are saying, well, no, my house value is still going down. So how do we measure what the bottom is?
Sure.
So kind of what I did for this article, and I really didn't answer the question.
Okay.
I just gave the facts, the stats, and let people view it from their own perspective.
Sure.
So let's go back in the number of sales. If you went back 10 years to 2002, we had 7,476 sales in Fresno County. And that was... and to put that in relationship, and this week I just did numbers for the past year, even though I didn't do 2011 or 2012. I did September 1st, 11 to August 31st of 12.
Okay.
9,135. So
from 2002, we're up.
Oh, yeah.
We're up by 2,000 houses.
The number of homes has greatly increased. In fact, most people would think that the highest number of sales occurred in 2005 because that was what most people considered the peak of the market.
Right.
But no, we've already passed that this year, and it's the 4th year in a row.
Well,
Wow.
it was interesting because we were talking about this before we came on the air, and 2005 and 2006, you had mentioned that such a large part of the REO of those properties that ended up as foreclosures or REOs, it wasn't necessarily, it was more so because someone had pulled cash out and the number of times that they had pulled cash out in that property. So when you look at the raw numbers as far as, so hey, what kind of action did we have, or what numbers did we see in terms of the number of homes that changed hands during that calendar year versus the number of refinances and times folks refinanced. And I was telling you, I was looking at a client's transaction history because they had lost a property to foreclosure, and in April of 2006, they did a refi for $365, and in October of the same year, they did a refinance for $465.
Wow.
In 2004 and 2005, probably the most common real estate transaction was not a purchase.
Yeah.
It was a cash-out refinance. And unfortunately, too many people use their home and their home's equity as an ATM machine.
Yep.
And that's why I hope your show and my show, we can warn our people to be careful with that.
Well, and I say this, and I use this whole mindset as far as life's concerned. I can definitely say over the last 48 plus years, I haven't made a bunch of great decisions. I've made some very, very good decisions and some very, very poor decisions. And until you have the opportunity, quote unquote, to feel the heat, and gain that perspective as to, hey, Don, don't refinance that anymore because it's going to hurt, or maybe I shouldn't. And you had talked about a consumer that you knew that had pulled cash out and $250,000 loan and went took 2 trips to Europe and this and that and the other thing, and next thing you know, it's all good and fine when you're making the payments and you're utilizing those monies in the bank account to make those payments that you cashed out on, but when you can't make those payments anymore, it starts
the
to get
facade
bumpy.
is over.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure, and they're still paying $2,100 a month for those 2 trips to Europe that they took 5 years ago.
Right. Hope those were great memories. Pictures must last.
Do you think, based upon the research that you did, that we'll ever see, quote unquote, all those variables at one time again in terms of that perfect real estate storm?
Well, I don't know. I believe, and I made kind of a disparaging comment about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, but I do believe they learned a
By the
lesson.
way, they're waiting outside. Just so
I'm going out the back door. No, I think the biggest culprit was not so much just the no money down or the cash out refi or the adjustable rate, but it was when they bundled all of those together. Mm-hmm. And people didn't understand the loan terms that they were getting. And here's a home they bought for $100,000 that they're borrowing $250,000 on. And they didn't really do anything to earn that money.
Sure.
That's right.
It could have gone from $100 to $250 in a 5 or 6 year period of time.
Yeah.
It's a lesson in economics that they teach you the first day.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a free lunch.
Yeah.
So if you're getting something for doing nothing,
it's a problem.
at some point you got to pay it back. You got to give it back, whatever that is. And people, I think, didn't heed the warning of that.
Right. And the part that disturbs me about Fannie and Freddie is how they came out with the stated income loans up to 100% loan to value, and for cash out refis, and on an adjustable rate loan with negative amortization. No wonder it went south.
Yeah, no wonder.
Yeah.
So where do you see, as far as, we've had a rough patch here over the last, end of 2005 through, say, 2009. Now, 10, 11, and 12 have been extremely interesting. Don, what do you see as far as, what are the dynamics on the horizon as far as our market's concerned?
I believe you're going to see more traditional sales rather than bank-driven sales. And that's a good thing because traditional sellers have the home field advantage.
Very true.
I mean, you can give an answer to the buyer within a day. You can mow the lawn. You can shampoo the carpet.
The grass is green usually. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
On those traditional
if you
sales.
drive around town now, you don't see the brown lawns that you saw 4 or 5 years ago.
Right. And that pride of ownership definitely it's a sellable item, whether people don't realize it or not. That is,
it is quantifiable.
Exactly. I mean, the aesthetics of these properties that have gone recently bank owned and short sales, terrible. But now when we get back to traditional sales, you see the beauty of home ownership again, in my opinion.
This is a new dawn. Really, we're going through right at the moment, and I don't. That sound kind of corny. It's like the Twilight Saga.
I thought you were talking to me.
Yeah, a new dawn.
The new dawn.
No, we're not trying to replace you, Don. No. It's a new beginning as far as our market's concerned, as far as here in the Central Valley. And I tell you what, we've seen it all over the last 5 or 6 years.
Well, and I think we're all a part of rebuilding it, and that's the thing I think people need to realize. Agents, that's our job, is to show you pride of ownership, to show you the benefits of all of these things that you grew up with that you just maybe can't recall because economics and the news have been so ugly.
Right.
I think it's our job to rebuild them with those types of mortgages we were talking about, VA, 203K, DAP, etc.
All those little quirky things.
All those little quirky things. I do. I think that's our job. to educate people for those things.
And, looking into the future, I don't think we're going to have the run of REOs that we had before, because the loans of the last 4 or 5 years have been permanent, sustainable loans.
Sure.
People have had to qualify for them. They actually had to show a pay stub. And
tax returns and verify assets.
And fixed
rates, low interest rates. So home ownership is now sustainable. It's not what it was 10 years ago.
That's an important thing to note, because when you say the term sustainable, we're not in a position where so many homeowners are going to be exposed to the elements and potentially lose. Now, granted, it doesn't mean that there's not going to be hardships.
Right.
It doesn't mean that there's not going to be loss of job. It does not mean, as we mentioned or we spoke about on last week's show, unemployment at 15.5% here in the Central Valley. It doesn't mean that there aren't going to be divorces. It doesn't mean that there aren't going to be other hardships that we just cannot. A death of a spouse. We're still going to experience those. However, though, we are getting closer to a much more manageable delinquency when it comes time for the properties that we see that ultimately end up hitting the market. And I totally concur with you, Don. I don't think there's no properties that are lurking in the shadows. There's
the shadow inventory that you're talking about.
I'd
like to see a few of them.
Not going to see it.
I don't believe in that.
I don't either. Glad to know we're all in the same place when it comes to that, Don.
Yeah, I tell you what.
I'm waiting for it, but I'm not thinking it's happening.
Yeah. Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the information that you hear on our show, please call us anytime. We'd love to hear from you, 800-979-3958. You can also go to our website and check out our resources online at reofresnohomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use press 4 keywords.
Friend Valleywood on Facebook.
I just boggled that up.
Yeah, you did.
Or use press 4 keywords.
KMJ, call Valleywide.
To call us anytime. Don, Michelle, myself, we'd love to hear from you. Well, coming up, we're going to take some listener questions. Make sure you stay with us. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network, helping to redefine real estate here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Thinking about buying a home? Find out how the HUD Home Store can help you. Visit HUDHomestore.com. Look at HUD homes available for sale near you or nationwide. Why HUD Home Store? HUD will pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing cost. The price of the home is based on an FHA as-is appraisal, which is already completed, saving you an average of $400. And there is an owner-occupant priority bidding period during the first 30 days. Want to know more? Visit HUDHomestore.com.
Mortgage interest rates are at historic lows, and there's never been a more affordable time to buy real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing property, let the mortgage professionals at Valleywide help. Valleywide Homes has been helping homeowners with their mortgage needs since 1997. When it comes to the Valley's real estate, we know our way around the neighborhood. Call toll-free, 800-979-3958. And put the seasoned professionals at Valleywide Homes to work for you. Valleywide Homes, NMLS number 342062, 235-952, California Department of Real Estate License 0122-8460. Have you ever thought about going solar? It's never been easier to go solar than with a SunPower lease. You'll start saving money the very first day. Arise Solar has a team of energy consultants ready to help you determine if going solar is right for you. Start taking control of your energy costs. Contact Arise Solar, your local SunPower Elite dealer at 449-8989. That's Arise Solar at 449-8989. Or use press 4 keywords, Arise Solar. How much should I be saving? When can I retire? What can I do to ensure that my estate will be left in the hands of my family once I'm gone? Is my hard-earned money safe in today's markets?
With all the uncertainty in today's world, all of us at the Island Group know it is our job to provide answers to these questions. Walk with us, the Island Group at UBS Financial Services. Call me, Kate Island, at 559-248-4097. That's 559-248-4097. And take the first step in protecting your financial future.
All rights reserved. UBS Financial Services, Inc. is a subsidiary of UBS AG. Member SIPC. Come join the fun and show your support for three-time Valley champion Clovis East High School boys basketball program at the 8th annual Crab Feed Dinner on Saturday, October 20th at 6 p.m. at the Fresno Betsuan Buddhist Temple's Family Dharma Center, located on Alluvial Avenue. All you can eat crab, chicken, and tri-tip. A live and silent auction with dancing starting at 9 p.m. For more information, contact 797-5381. That's 797-5381, or use press 4 keywords Clovis East.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Well, we were talking with Don Scordino, broker associate from Realty Concepts, and Don, there were some statistics. We were talking about the last 10 years in our real estate market, and then looking forward to what the next 10 years might bring, but there were some really interesting stats that we didn't get a chance to get to.
Yeah. In fact, I'd love to point that out, because so often we talk about the number of homes sold. Well, that's not all that's meaningful. How about the dollar volume of homes sold and what stays in the community that can be respent? And to give you a little background, if you go back 10 years, $1.2 billion worth of property transferred from the seller to the buyer. And 10 years ago, most of that was most of the sellers were traditional.
Right,
and
right.
So that money stayed in the community. Then in 2005, it jumped all the way to $2.8 billion.
Wow.
And most of that, once again, stayed in the community. So we all felt good.
Right.
We all had to feel like we were Donald Trump, reinvented. Then in 2009, when the foreclosures really came about, we went to $1.6 billion in volume here in Fresno County.
Yeah.
But over $1 billion of that was in foreclosures, which meant that money, when escrow closed, was sent to the bank back in Texas or Pennsylvania. It did not stay in Fresno any longer. But here's the bright, shining star out there. In the last year, $1.53 billion was sold again, but only $388 million. So what is that?
From a percentage standpoint,
20% maybe.
Yeah.
It left the community. It's staying back here again.
And that is so important to note, because our state's got a huge problem right at the moment. Now granted, this is that there could be some sort of correlation as we see those numbers fluctuate. The more dollars that stay here locally, here in Fresno County, in Madera County, Tulare County, Kings, Kern, here in the state, the better off we're going to be. Mm-hmm. Really. I mean, when you look at Sacramento's got some huge issues, and they're looking to Amazon.com to pay the bill. No, I'm just kidding.
But it also goes back to those loans we talked about, the 203Ks, the VAs. Those things are important to our local community. If you do a 203K loan on the home for improvements, those are local contractors who are bidding on those jobs and getting work from them, and your local title folks are helping transition those. So, I mean, those are bringing jobs back to the area, and I think that's again, it's benefiting those folks locally. A VA loan is benefiting our veterans here locally. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, let's take one of our listener questions. Don, great stats. Seriously, that spells it. It really does in a big way. Well, Jim from Selma called and said, I'm in contract on a short sale, and the short sale is approved at $150,000. The appraisal came in at $142,000. Now, what are my options at this point, and can I go back to the bank and get them to lower the price? Don, what do you have to say on that?
Well, you almost have to give that bank a shot. You got to tell them, hey, this, hopefully you'll be part of the solution, not part of the problem.
So true. You also have to take a look at, were you within your time frames as far as your inspections are concerned? Was your appraisal contingency, were you within that time frame? Was the lender able to perform? Was the appraiser able to get that back to you in a timely fashion? Because the seller, bottom line, doesn't want to be hanging around out there with their asset not protected. And if it is a case that, let's say it's FHA financing. Well, let me tell you, if it is FHA financing,
you better have $8,000.
Well, no. Here's the deal. I would go back to the bank, and one of the items that I would make sure that I stress is, as long as we are within our time frames as far as our appraisal inspection is concerned, to stress to them that that valuation is going to stick with that property. If someone comes to you, in other words, if you do not work with me and I don't have sufficient cash in order to pull through at the higher pre-negotiated sales price, if you don't reduce that sales price and someone subsequent comes in behind me and offers also FHA financing, guess what? There's no second appraisal that's ordered. That appraisal is transferred. That valuation sticks with that property for 6 months. So you're dealing with, unless you've got somebody that's conventional or cash, guess what? You better drop the price.
But do you see what you just said?
What?
Again.
I don't pay attention to what I say.
Conventional or cash?
Yeah.
All right.
No,
Stop.
You
No
know,
redhead stepchild, please.
Another point, if that buyer really likes the property and wants it and has $8,000 more,
right.
they can still do it.
You better believe it. Oh, you better believe it.
And in this market, there are those folks out there.
Yeah, most definitely.
Regularly.
Yep, you got that right. Again, call us anytime. If you've got listener questions, call us. We'd love to hear from you. 800-979-3958. Use press 4 keywords.
KMJ comment line.
And let us know what questions we can help get answered for you. Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions, call us 800-979-3958. You can also check out our website, reofresnohomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use press 4 keywords.
Friend Valley White on Facebook.
Or if you would just like to call us, use press 4 keywords.
KMJ, call Valley White.
To call us anytime. A big thank you to our special guest host, broker associate, Don Scordino from Realty Concepts, and Welcome Home Radio. You can listen to Welcome Home Radio on every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. You can also call Don at 490-1590. Again, that's 490-1590. A big thank you to Michelle Pettis-Cavalli, my co-host, for joining us today. Michelle, we love having you here. Johnny B, great job behind the mics, buddy. Our goal at the Real Estate Radio Network is to get you, our listeners, the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate market, so we can help bring you
back home.
Don't forget to tune into the Real Estate Radio Network next Sunday, right here at 7 a.m. on 105.9, the FM KMJ. Make it a great day, Central Valley, and we will see you next week.
The preceding program was paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.